Deputy Speaker, I'll give you 10 minutes and we round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I see and I realize that the debate today is more of a national debate, having a national outlook, than one that is political. I would want to say thank you to my colleagues on the other side for having lent their voices to this debate. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I have 10 minutes and I'm going straight to the point. The first thing I wish to comment on is on the budget profile. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I heard the Honorable Ufa Suibeshi and the Honorable Ikeke. They made mention of vehicles plying the routes leading to Kabia, exiting for Conakry. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, it will interest you to note that from January to May, there are only 790 containers that have come through our ports meant for transit. So my records here, when I speak, I always speak records. My records here shows that between January and May, we have received 26,000, let me be exact, 26,017 containers. Though AGM is saying we received 33,000. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I think I made an analysis of the number of containers that were 40 feet and those that are 20 feet. So it would interest you to note that of the numbers I have received from them, we have received 14,541 40 feet containers. Mr. Speaker, as a businessman, like I said the other day, planning to go into my palm oil business, I've already started importation of raw materials. So I know what I pay when I bring in 40 feet containers into this country. But Mr. Speaker, if I take a baseline of 80,000, which is not what I pay, what I have paid is more than that. If I take a baseline of 80,000, it will give me 1,163,280, which that is on 40 feet load, which far outweighs what is in the budget as received for import duties. So if we calculate what we received for 20 feet containers, we have received 6,501 containers. So if you take another baseline of 50,000, which is not what I pay usually when I bring in 20 feet containers, you would have 325,050. So if you add all of that, it would be very close to the annual budget for revenue generated from customs. But if you look at the annex in Roman 1, Mr. Speaker, I pity this minister, we stay together, we stay very close. Sometimes I go visit him on Sundays. Instead of us having fun and drinking wine over interesting national gist, he will be talking and he will be looking at papers. And this is true. It's because people are not performing at their level. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the numbers here, the number shows that custom import duties as at Q1 to Q2 stands at 952,814. And by the end of the year, it is expected that our import duties for customs should be around 2,003,601, which is below the original budget of 2,075,000. So the question is, what is happening down there? That is the first question, Mr. Speaker. My next is congestion. What is responsible for the congestion, and why is it that the congestion is not clearing at all? People seem to believe that the congestion is created because we have increase in the number of containers. Yes, that is true. Because I've been at the port the other day, I was there until 2 a.m. Yes, that's true. I was there until 2 a.m. And I realized MSC had a cargo that docked that day and it discharged 2,000 containers in Freetown alone. One vessel, 2,000 containers. So is government actually getting its due? No, the problem is multifaceted. The police, naturally, the police are creating roadblocks. For every containerized vehicle, thank God I see a policeman there. For every containerized vehicle that comes through the port, if you don't tip the police, your vehicle will not enter the port. It is true, it is fact. If you don't tip them, your vehicle will not enter the port. And you see vehicles standing there, standing in the queue. For ages, there are vehicles there that have been there for since Sunday. They have not been able to enter the port. That is the first part. The second part of the police is that the police believe that by creating that congestion and putting a restriction, and I heard government has lifted that restriction, which is good, by putting a restriction for inbound containers that go westward, it helps them to collect more from those that want to access the port. And Mr. Speaker, honorable member, in business, fairness is the first thing. If you are creating a path for one businessman, you should create a path for everyone. So at the port, there is a challenge. The business people, when we examine the issues around the port, they will tell you that preference is given to a certain businessman who uses the exit gate as entry, and he can pick up his container as and when he wishes. So it prevents other people from removing from clearing their container. And that is a major challenge. It is impacting them, and I don't care about the businessman having preference. I am cared about the fact that it is impacting on the revenue. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, there is a much talked about, and it's on the paragraph 37. If you go to paragraph 37 and if you look at Roman 2 on fuel subsidy, at the beginning of the year, you realize that fuel subsidy was zero. The projected budget that we have ratified and we approved in this parliament, the minister was deliberate to say we are not going to give subsidy to any OMC. But when you are forced by volatility, day before yesterday, I was listening to World Economic News, and the quarter 1 and quarter 2 of the Saudi budget was referenced. Their net loss was 9.4 billion. The net loss performance from their projected budget revenue is 9.4 billion. That is to say, even the big boys, they are hurt by the fact that the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, the Red Sea is a trap, and every other point of doing business is risky. And if you have a community where in the beginning we have OMCs that were giving opportunities to government, the rationalized prices, but now, like most people will say, the OMC business, it is a cartel. You like it or not, if you are in the business, you have to join the business platform and the business etiquette. And the etiquette has brought everybody in, so the prices are the same across the board now. So government is forced to subsidize to the extent that subsidy has gone up to 243 million. It is huge. But if government fails to subsidize, you will realize that there will be queues, there will be whether artificial or natural scarcity. And government will not want that because fear by itself is a political commodity. Few days ago when the war is through, when it has become intense, Mr. Speaker, you see, yesterday I was flying around the fields. Queues have started. It's not to say fear is not available, it's to tell the minister that you want to increase price. And he would have to negotiate that. I have gone to his house. I go to his house regularly. The other day, Mrs. Fatima prepared a very delicious meal. The minister took few items, but I was there. I helped him. I had a full plate. He could not eat because he is thinking of what is coming, what is in the horizon. But we need to help him. If you look at the subsidy on EFSA, on Woman 2 as well, Mr. Speaker, when I remember, it has increased. It has moved from 480 projected at the beginning of the year to 1.6. We have to be serious about either A, curbing energy theft, or B, making sure that money is collected for payment into the consolidated revenue is paid. If it is not paid, government is forced to subsidize, to pay Canadian power ship to pay other IPPs, because if those IPPs, including Bubuna, the operation of Bubuna, is still majority private. If government fails to subsidize those, then the city will be dark. And when the city is dark, everybody, whether you are a politician or not, everybody will be coming. Because those that have their freezers at home, that want to produce high skills to sell, those that have their soft drink in their fridge to sell and feed their family, they will be hot. So for government to manage the economy at both macro and micro level, what government should do and what the national government or the national minister should do or should advise the government is to subsidize so that you keep the balance. But Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I have spoken about the ports, the cost of duties, but let me also tell you about rivers. Mr. Speaker, if we don't put a brake on ministries, departments, and agencies developing memos, passing those memos signed by permanent secretaries, then the minister signed and they send it to the Ministry of Finance. And the Ministry of Finance, this is not flyover. And the Ministry of Finance, they have a desk on duty exemption and waiver. That desk could approve it. If you are the Minister of Finance, you have a table full like mine, maybe more than mine. And you receive a document. Sometimes somebody will just switch up you into signing a document. So in the last audit, ministries, departments, and agencies alone, their duty waivers and exemption amounted to 188 million. That's a lot of money. Giving away. Mining companies are giving concessions by the Ministry of Mines. Mr. Speaker, the powers of this parliament is being eroded by ministries, departments, and agencies. I must say it's a pity. Ministers, permanent secretaries sit at the comfort of their offices. They will sign authorization waiving payment of customs duties, waiving payment of import duties, inbound containers. And if you go to my schedule, you will realize that FD Gold is one of the highest importers of inbound containers. But the highest is PC and Sons. So we must ask ourselves, if PC and Sons has bought in 1,721 containers between January and May, how much has he paid? These are the real questions we must ask. Because if we don't ask those questions, whenever we come here, we'll be talking politics. There are days to talk politics, like Tuesday I was talking politics. Today, we are talking our own interest. Because my salary and the calculation I did that day, on Tuesday, is dependent on the revenue that government will be able to generate. So we have to look at everybody. It is a business of watching our USO too. We must be attentive, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we must also be attentive to the fact that this parliament has passed a law in the Finance Act that 30% of export revenue must be repatriated into this country. So we have to do a calculation. If the last export calculation was 2.8 billion, how much is 30% of 2.8 billion? It will be around 666 million. Do we have 666 million or 367 million in the account of people exporting out of this country? Because if we have those foreign currency revenues in their account, it would mean we can be in charge of the exchange rate. He has done a fantastic job when it comes to managing the exchange rate, when it comes to keeping the stability. This is the third year or fourth year or so that our exchange rate is around 23.5, 23.4, 23.7. I must also give kudos to the bank governor. His MPRs are spot on. What he has done to the economy in terms of managing the monetary and the monetary policy end of the financial dynamics is powerful. But if we are not receiving what we should receive, all of this talk about 2 months of import cover, 3 months of import cover, if you receive, you have a cash injection of $666 million into your economy. There is no need for you to be talking about 2 months, 3 months of import cover. And these are real numbers. These are numbers that are living. And these are numbers that we must harness. These are numbers that we must fetch because they are before us. In banking, governor will tell you, those that are in marketing, they will tell you, these are low-hanging fruits. They are very close. You block them and you eat. Don't worry about it. So, Mr. Minister, I also, nobody is telling you about what what is transacted in mobile monies. Because what ENSOP is calculating every transaction done by the mobile networks. I know, sir. You can quote project. I know. But the point is, Mr. Minister, if you have asked us to approve something, you must enforce it. Let us collect our money. What ENSOP calculates, if they have a different view, let them present their documents. Let them present their evidence in the contrary. But if there is no documents to it, then I'm sorry, you have to pay us. When we were looking at the audit report, I saw the red flag coming for CTC college fees. That is what they are doing us. They come here, we give them agreements. When they take the agreement, when it's time to pay their license fees, they will come back to government. Oh, you know, we are going to pay in quarter 2, 100 in quarter 3. They will talk to us as if we are fools. Like say, we not Mungu, what we are hoping. Me, Papa, na don't call him by command. But we are free to happen. I'm sorry, that's so too long. So we must be alert to these things, because these are the things that are affecting the budget in its original form, and these are the reasons why the minister would have to come to us to recast the budget and say, I need a supplementary budget, because our money is short on revenue. And so many people have spoken about GST. I've spoken about import GST and output GST. The way it is calculated for big businesses. There are businesses in this country that are owing us taxes, but they will always tell you that, oh, we're in credit. They have never been in debit, they're always in credit. We are in credit to NRA, but they should deduct it from source. Where is the evidence? There's no evidence. And he's not a magician, he cannot be there, he cannot be in every place at the same time. He can only be in one small office, attending cabinet meetings, go to the IMF, go to the World Bank. Sometimes there was a day, he told me he was traveling. He came back, I went to his house to see him. I met Madam, she said, that man was back. I thought it was a joke. But these are the stress that he is passing through every day to keep this economy running. So everybody around the economic system must work. Mr. Speaker, I have so much to say, but let me round up. Let me round up with Mr. Speaker, let me round up with the fact that somebody said the health budget was reduced. It was not reduced, it was increased. There was an increment in the health budget, and that increment, I think, should be able to help the system. Yeah, the reduction in education budget is rational, because when you look at it, it's on pre-primary and primary. And what you have done over the years, you have sustained the growth and sustainability of pre-primary and primary. So there is a flow. So if you have a flow now that you can monitor, it is better that you take out of that and put it into fuel subsidy or put it into energy subsidy. So other members who were crying for the issue of education, yes, I know, I am also passionate about education. But when you look at it, you rationalize it, you will realize that, yes, you have to take from somewhere. Because that's the business we are in. We are in Kotia business, Kotia. We must stop that. This country is too resourced for us to be living on handouts, for us to be living on ends meet. We have passed that. I know we're a poor country, and we have painted ourselves so poor that even our MPs, when they are traveling with their colleagues, they sit in economy. Other MPs from other countries, they sit in business class. That is how far we have been poor. We are now poor mentally, we are poor physically, we are poor anyhow. But there are people that go to work every day, and it will surprise you when they return home with around 500-600 million. Yes. Yes. Mr. Speaker, to myself, like everybody normally said the truth. There are people that go home every day with 500-600, and these people are going home with this money. It's not their money, it's government money they are taking. But we see it as normal. We have accepted things in this country that are abnormal. People who grumble about port congestion, if you go there now, between 8:30 when the SOP says work starts and 1 a.m. there will be no clearing agent. I'm just coming from the port before I come to Parliament. I went there this morning. I was there up until 9 a.m. No clearing agency. People enjoy the liberty of saying, I went to a businessman, Mr. Speaker. When I told the businessman that I'm planning on, the Honorable Kelly is my partner, where I'm planning on opening my own clearing and forwarding agency, he said, you will not succeed. I said, why? He said, because you have to stay forward. I said, why are you saying that? He said, because in Sierra Leone, if you want to do clearing and forwarding business, you must understand that my actual payment, my actual tax payment is 200 million. But you must be able to negotiate my tax payment to 10 million. People do that every day in this country. I have just mentioned one name. Let them go and check 1,721 containers inbound in this country. Let them go and check how much he has paid. Let them go and check how much he has paid. 5-star food has bought 432 containers. I have the numbers in my head. I work with them. I sleep with them because it hurts me. It hurts my guts. And the president flies every day out of this country to go and negotiate, to go and beg literally for us to have monies, for us to be giving grants, for us to be giving loans. All of us have been in the UN. After the UN General Assembly in New York, the president has no business going any other place. I'm sorry. The president should come home. But the president cannot, because he will have to go back to Washington to go and beg World Bank, to go and beg IMF. Sometimes we were there for the spring meeting. All the spring meetings I've attended. The governor was going this way, minister was going this way, everybody was left. Dr. Bonzo was there, and I was there. They were putting us under pressure. Oh, the audit report, we have not seen it. I said, look at it, we have presented the audit report, we have uploaded it. Everybody is finding justification for us to have ends meet. Meanwhile, we have a buffalo in our kitchen. A buffalo in our kitchen, and we are looking for ends meet. We have buffalo in our kitchen. Mr. Speaker, sometimes it's hard. But I feel if we have to succeed, we have to succeed as a unit. No president will change this country, I will tell you, more than what has been done. If we, the citizenry, if those that are in authority, if those that are in position of trust fail to perform on their duties, like it's no president. The only president that can change this country is the president that will say, today you misbehave, today I sack you, But else you want to get a second term. Else you want a second term. You are bound to fail from the beginning. Because those that come to you every day, the only thing that they will tell you, hey, Paul, we plan for a second term. That's the thing. Also, they tell you every day, Paul, we plan for a second term. And it is a normal, Mr. Speaker. You see, even permanent secretaries with their ministers, permanent secretaries, they will tell the minister that there is a loophole here. And the minister will say, who don't do it? Say, we have been doing it since. And the minister will fall for it. And when the minister fell for it, Mr. Speaker, what will happen is the permanent secretary will tell the minister, this loophole, nobody will withdraw 200 million out of it. And the minister will say, okay, go and do it. The permanent secretary will go 400 million. The permanent secretary will go 400 million. And when the permanent secretary withdraws 400 million, the permanent secretary will present 200 million to the minister. The minister, out of the fact that he's afraid, he's naive, he doesn't want it to come out, he will say, okay, how do we share it? The permanent secretary, what am I giving? And the minister will give the permanent secretary 80 million. And the permanent secretary would have accumulated 280 million. And the minister 120 million. That's what happens every day. People go to the president, you must stop all of these things. Because these things are the very reasons why we are not getting our revenue. Mr. Speaker, finally. Mr. Speaker, GST. Mr. Speaker, GST. I have spoken about import and output GST. Now I'm going to tell you about real-time GST paid and collected. Mr. Speaker, other countries have advanced. A few days ago, I heard on the 19.1 that the Ministry of Finance has supported NIA to bring in additional 5,000 electronic cash machine. To do what? In Nigeria, even in market women, they use money points. Market women, they use money points. Even market women, they use QR code. Because in that QR code, why people are opposing to it, in that QR code, it is built in a way where once you scan it, government revenue goes straight into the account. Nobody wants it in this country because we left chap. Nobody wants it. Let us move away from cash machine. The world has moved. We should move. The world has moved. We should move, Mr. Speaker. Why can't we invest in things like that? When people go to buy in this country, even in my village, in Toko Maiti, even in bombs, where Mr. Speaker is coming from, people that are crossing the ocean, they will tell Mr. Speaker to send orange money. So they can use electronics. They know how to use it. They know how to use it. Even in Kubola, they know how to use orange money. That is why transaction in orange money has surpassed daily transaction across the counter. Governor will tell you that. Transaction in electronic means. And Mr. Speaker, in this country, most of us will sell our money to China, not to the banks. We have people now, wow, these full of people, we go give them our money, we will collect it in China, in Guangzhou. That's why they talk so. And these are all bypasses. They are affecting the economy. They are hurting the economy. They are hurting the soul of the economy. Sometimes I tell people that Kusa de Sona and we don't tell me. SO2. So I can say anything. I'm not coming here again, so I'm not looking for any votes. I'm looking for country development. I am not looking for any votes anymore. I'm looking for country development. And if we are going to develop, we must call things out, Mr. Speaker. We must call things out. Mr. Speaker, finally, the issue of DSC. Mr. Speaker, this minister, we must task him and the financial secretary and the bank governor. Let us go electronic. If somebody wants to travel, whether it is float, whether it is vault, whether it is orange prepaid card, whether it is Africell prepaid card, please have your prepaid card. Let them put local currency in your prepaid card, and you go and pay the foreign exchange loss or the foreign exchange gain wherever you buy from. But we are talking about 2 months of import cover. It is because the minister is suffocated by DSCs. And it is compelling. You don't have to, he doesn't have option. People have to travel. People have to attend conferences. The world is global. Most of the activities that happen around the world, around ministries, departments, around change in policies, takes place outside Sierra Leone. So if we want to be part of the global village, we have to travel. And if we are traveling, let us have a policy wherein all government officials must own a card. And that card is in the system. Where once you want to travel, even me, I have my board card. I have it. That is what I use. I have used it in Barbados, I have used it in the US, I have used it in London, I have used it in Germany. So I know it works. So nobody will tell you, oh, technology has only work. I know it works. I have tested it. I have used it in Nigeria. I have used it in many places. Let us, I've never gone to Afghanistan. Let us stop giving cash to people for traveling. Because it is an incentive. Most people, they even fake travel nowadays. Because they want to collect it themselves, because they lose cash. But if it's your Leone, if you are entitled to $5,000, they give you the Leone's equivalent of $5,000 in your card. And when you take your card, you realize that you spend $4,500 or $4,800. You have paid your duties to Visa. Then you will understand why is it that the import cover is dropping. Because that's foreign exchange laws. Government is born in it. Government is suffering for it. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity. I want to thank the minister. I want to say, well, I appreciate what you have done. What you are getting my ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I must say you have made my day. You have made my day. The other day I was telling somebody, Sierra Leone is a very small country. If we are to develop, the first area we should pay attention to is our revenue. Too many gaps, too many openings all over the place. Too many openings. Our system is so porous that everybody comes into Sierra Leone, he or she operates conveniently. Even investors who are genuine, the moment they come to Sierra Leone, they are inducted. Even when people are genuine, they come genuinely, they want to come and pay their taxes, they pay. But they meet people around to tell them, no, you don't have to pay that. Instead of paying 100,000, just give me 5,000. Just give me 5,000. It is as serious as that. And of course, the Minister of Finance can't do that alone. Because if he tries to interfere in other departments and agencies, he will go all over. Don't fight him. Don't fight him. Some will even go and tell stories about him for him to be sacked. They'll go and tell stories about him. It is as serious as that. You know, we are a sorry state. We are a sorry state. We are in a very serious thing. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. There will come a day when, people say enough is enough. There will come a day. Where's the leader of the opposition?
I want to thank all the contributors, all the guys of Parliament who have written on this very sensitive topic. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the distribution of funds from the consolidated revenue by the Ministry of Finance is often influenced by two considerations. Firstly, you have the technical consideration, and secondly, you have the political consideration. In fact, the political consideration becomes more conspicuous when you design budgets very close to elections. 1 year to elections, 3 years to elections. So when the political consideration comes up and there is no money, they will tell you to go and loan. So what we have today in front of us is a budget that speaks clearly to these two considerations. If you carefully look at the budget, it's clear that the domestic revenue is lower. Government has revised the domestic revenue downwards by 651 million. So meaning the earlier projection made by government has been reversed by 651 million. When there is a reversal in the revenue, it should be accompanied by a corresponding reversal in the expenditure. In our local parlance, we say cut your coat according to your size. When you know say you the bills, if you reduce the amount of tender way you're gonna clock, SO2. But what happens in this budget is that the total expenditure increased about 217.2 million. So at a time when the revenue reduces, the expenditure increases. So it creates a big gap that needs to be taken care of. And mostly what happens, Mr. Speaker, is that we use loan to take care of these big gaps. And for us as a nation, we should note that what we are focusing on should ensure we develop this country. I truly admire the expose by the Deputy Speaker. It shows a true sense of patriotism. Yeah, we are all Sierra Leoneans. We are all Sierra Leoneans. No Sierra Leonean will want to talk with a Ghanaian and want that Ghanaian to be boastful over the Sierra Leonean for whatever thing. This is our only country. So when we debate, we must not be monofocal or myopic. You should look beyond the government, beyond the sitting government. Government comes and goes, but Sierra Leone remains. So whatever we say should help develop our country as a whole. So one thing we should try to do is to ensure that we suppress our expenditure. I understand with the minister and the ministry, just as the Deputy Speaker stated, I don't wish to be in their capacity. Imagine there is no money and they tell you to squeeze water out of stone. You have to do it. And what is more fearful about the entire thing is that the political class appoints the technical staff. So when you don't dance to them, that's the end of your job. Even when you have budget constraints, they will tell you that no, next year we have election. That's what we have to construct it. If we don't construct it, we will lose this election. Then you have to go up everywhere to ensure that you have the money. Even if it causes you to go for loans, to satisfy the political considerations. So it has not been easy for them. It has not been easy for them. In fact, if you take a careful look at the budget, the current expenditure is protected at the expense of development. The current expenditure rises by about 1.35 billion euros, whilst capital expenditure falls by about 1.13 billion. The main reason for this supplementary budget is to ensure that there is transfer from development project to the current obligations. The current budget is what you use to run the daily affairs of government, what you use to pay salaries, what you use to ensure that ministry, departments, and agencies operate. This is quite different from the budget used for developmental purposes. So we say now, this budget has increased the current expenditure and drastically reduced the capital expenditure. Mr. Speaker, let me look at some of the issues here under the current expenditure. In fact, the minister says that the current expenditure rises about 1.4 billion, principally because of energy and fuel subsidy. Energy and fuel subsidies. We've had issues with energy that we have not been able to solve. Mr. Speaker, we are in a country in which they pay for electricity at a very high cost. We have one of the highest electricity tariff. And yet, we subsidize for electricity. If we don't solve that problem, we will always be subsidizing. And the money we subsidize is not small, Mr. Speaker. It's not small. It's not small. Why are people going for electricity? Electricity is not free. It's not free. It's quite expensive. But still, we subsidize. It also says wages remain broadly unchanged. Goods and services fall by 38.9 million. Free quality education, including school feeding, will continue. So there is critical contradiction, especially in Annex 2. It shows significant reduction in several education-related goods and services lines, including the school feeding that I just said and educational programs. So we should ensure that we give ample ambience to the technical people to do their job. Mr. Speaker, just for energy subsidy, energy and fuel subsidy, it has risen from 480 million in the original budget. Remember, in the original budget we approved, energy and fuel subsidy was 480 million. And now, for this supplementary budget, it has risen to 1.6 billion from 480 million. So the increment is considerably high. Very, very high. Very, very, very high. It's a cause for concern for us as a nation. If those handling our electricity cannot perform, let us think of privatizing it. Yeah, exactly, because I have seen steps being taken. There was a point in time, even the president acted as a minister. I have seen the entire board being dismissed, but still the problem continues. It continues. Mr. Speaker, permit me to recognize the presence of my boss.
Honorable members, I recognize the presence of Honorable Hassan Priest. Former opposition whip of this parliament and an outstanding member of parliament at the time he was here. You are heartily welcome, Honorable CC. Heartily welcome to your home, the House of Parliament. Thank you very much for coming. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The whip, SO52. Mr. Speaker, I rise on SO52.
You can move. Anybody can move. That the business of the house may continue.
And that the business of the house will continue. 2 seconds, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Today now flow. And out of this recurrent budget, you have 1.43 billion for electricity and independent power producers. Electricity and independent power producers. And you have 243 million for fuel subsidy to oil marketing companies. Mr. Speaker, as Parliament, can we ask which companies will receive this payment? Because it's very serious. In fact, I am of the opinion that even in the petroleum industry, we should be making money as a country. It should add to our revenue. So what happens is that because proper monitoring is not done at ETSA or EGTC, as the case may be, we find out that the stress is on the ministry to be making payment. Something must be done. Interestingly, all of these increments are commercial bank borrowing. Most of them are commercial bank borrowing. If you go to the speech of the minister, there has been a considerable increment in commercial bank borrowing. Commercial bank financing rises from about 567 million new loans to, remember, 567 million new loans to 4.17 billion. The rise is more than 7 times. It's more than 7 times. And there was a commitment from government to reduce borrowing. So it's very serious, Mr. Speaker. In fact, when you listen to the presentation done by the minister, especially when he said the debt to GDP has declined to 44%, you will assume under normal condition that we have reduced on the borrowing. But Mr. Speaker, we should note that the reduction in the debt to GDP ratio does not mean reduction in the nominal value of debt burden. It means basically there has been an increment on the GDP. So it's very critical. Before the rebase, our debt to GDP ratio was over 90%. It became better after the rebase. But when you check the nominal value, it is now more than what it used to be when it was over 90%.
Leader of the opposition, this house is still done for 10 minutes to allow all to refresh.
to safeguard macroeconomic stability and protect livelihood of citizens. How can you protect the livelihood of citizens when you cut on agriculture and you cut on medical supplies? It exposes citizens. We know what our citizens suffer in the hospital. We know what they lack in the hospital. So if you want to protect the livelihood of citizens, Salomon no ask for food. Make sure say he eats. Make sure say he get medicine. Make sure say he buy food. Then it's okay. How you want the country in your business? But this is what he saw, that we are having a considerable reduction in agriculture. We are having a considerable reduction in medical supplies, and we are having a considerable increment in the office of the chief minister. So how does that protect the livelihood of the ordinary Sierra Leonean? How? When the chief minister's office is not a service delivery office. It's in the budget. Not a service delivery. Tell me what services they deliver. They don't. In fact, most of the functions of that office overlaps with other ministries, departments, and agencies. And you cut feed salon by over 70%. You cut medical supplies by over 73%. And you say it's geared towards the livelihood or protecting the livelihood of the citizens. How does that office protect the livelihood of the citizens? How does it? Arubia. The crocodile. So it's serious, Mr. Speaker. How will hospitals and health facilities receive adequate drugs, medical supplies under such reduction, especially in this second half? It will be difficult. When you go to the annexes and you read the speech, you will notice that the free quality school education and school feeding, they say it will continue. However, the annex show reduction in some of education and school feeding lines. Considerable reduction. So it's serious, Mr. Speaker. I have always held to very high esteem the staff and the minister at the Ministry of Finance. That is why, in all I'm saying, I would never castigate them, because they are not Thomas de la Rue. If they were Thomas de la Rue, they would be spending all the night printing more monies. But in a situation where they don't have sufficient money and the request is very abundant, they themselves find themselves in very difficult circumstances. In a situation where the gaps, where revenues are accumulated, they are strangulated to the extent that we do not have enough revenue, then you make their work very difficult. Very, very difficult. So for me, Mr. Speaker, I want to advise that government places priority where it is needed. There are some expenditure that are very unrealistic. Very unrealistic. Let us make sure that we protect, as in the theme of this budget, let us make sure that we protect the livelihood of the ordinary citizens. Make drugs available to them. Don't cut medical supplies. Increase the medical supplies so that if Mamiebo at the village is sick, Mamiebo will be able to be treated.
No, that's okay.
Mr. Speaker, we have a good number of people who are dying because of lack of medical attention. So we should be investing more in that area. instead of spending in offices that the leader of government business would not want me to call, which is the chief minister's office. This is the last time I'll call it. I will not call it again. Yes. It's in the budget. It's in the budget. It's in the budget. Even the secretary to the president, his budget is increased by over 70%. Yes. And we call it a proper budget. We call it a budget that is protecting the livelihood of the ordinary citizens. I have not seen the nexus. I have not seen the connection. I have not seen the connection. I have not seen the connection. I want to thank the staff at the ministry. I want to thank the minister who is working exceptionally hard. Had we not gotten this kind of minister, as at now, even the exchange rate would have been very problematic and we would have lost guard of everything had it not been there. We would have lost guard of everything had it not been there. So I want to recognize their expertise. I want to encourage them to be people-centric. And I also want to advise the second arm that influences the allocation, which is the political arm. But she has just told me. She has just told me. Which is the political arm. I said the budget is influenced by two factors. One technical, second political. The technical, they have the expertise, but when the political comes in, they interrupt. And the political does not even want to know where the technical gets before they just impose. I pray that Leone becomes the home we all dream of. I want to thank you. And I pray that I'll pass this on.
Thank you very much, leader of the opposition. Leader of government business. Will you belong? Or would you feel like
I believe my minister, so I will try to be succinct in some of these things that she has proposed. But thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, all colleagues who have contributed in a positive way to this budget. Thank you very much. And even when the minister has tried to be very open, in line with Section 112, of course, you cannot do it without Section 110 of the Constitution. He has tried to be very transparent, very honest man in dealing with this economic process we have. My colleagues are presenting a story as if they left us with diamonds, billions, as if they left us with the World Bank to manage the economy of this country. But they left us with a policy of prosperity and they left us in pauperity. Very poor system.
So that's the news of pauperity.
That's what the leader have called. When I was in the opposition, I dreamt of having a very good life when he introduced the policy of prosperity. He forced us to accept prosperity. And prosperity, you don't tell me that my life has been prospered, or my life has prospered, or I'm about to prosper. I have to say it. So they had agenda for prosperity. And he forced us on us. Shove it in our throat for us to accept. You know what I know my colleagues on the other side for? Big jargons. Economic jargon that are not realistic at all. I mean, far from that. You know, there are times when we have to speak the truth. I have said, let us change the donation of what is happening. You have not gone away from saying the truth. If you have read this budget, if you listen carefully what he has read to us, he is within the bracket of actually explaining to us why he's here, why he's doing all of this. He has not said he's just cutting down on expenditure or increased expenditure. There are so many challenges because we did not fix it. When some people ruled us for 24 years, they didn't fix anything. They left us in maladministration. And we forgot that we had war. And we forgot that when Pakaba left, he left a huge chunk of money, whether it's going to be in a proper form or debt relief, but we left so much money. When they came, they introduced income electric to fix this energy sector, and he went on to corruption, and the minister was sticking to anti-corruption. And you know, you are not living in a hurry. You are very careful not to. And I follow my brother very well. It's not a praising the moment. since I have go back to all of his projects that he has presented to this house, he has been very transparent in trying to address the core issues that have to do with our economic problems. If you have read the fiscal strategy document from 2018, he was not there. By then, in fact, he was not advanced to the ministry. From 2018 to 2023, and you take the other one, you read for fiscal strategy document from 2023 to 2028, projecting, you know that they are very honest people. Now, people are forgetting to note that when you talk about factors in economic play, there are internal factors, there are external shocks. I will come to that. I explain all of these things. But when we start to speak, we speak as if he has the magic to fix his economy that has been described with one set of people for over 30 years. One set of people, far less than that. That is the projection we are giving the nation. I don't go in that direction. I will go simply saying so with what we have. But government is continuity, whether you like it or not. First, when you talk about the imports over, in 2007, you know, it was 4.5 per month, the imports over. When you Google, you will get the value of that. So they have said there was a little bit of, that is 2007, from Pakaba's days, in blessed memory. And when we came to 2018, when we took over, it did not meet the standard where Pakaba left it. That's why when we are talking about fiscal discipline, moral standing in economic expenditure. In fact, President Leone, we have the FS with us. He has been in ministry for a very, very long time. The expenditure that used to be for president for daily expenditures, it was drastically reduced by President Leone. He started the fiscal discipline. The successes that you are seeing today started with the man himself, President Leone. That daily expenditure that they used to give you 500 million per week, you travel to Makini, they give you huge amount of money. He said, no, let us reduce. Half was given. It's on the record. Go to DG and other, they produce records. We started with fiscal discipline. Let me tell you, the first budget, I remember, we said we are not going to, at this time, resort to bank borrowing. In the supplementary budget that was read by J.J. Safa here, Mr. J.J. Safa, we said, we accepted, we are going to create a single treasury account to maintain fiscal discipline because there was too much of indiscipline in the fiscal sector. And we used the economic platform to remove them out of governance. We used it effectively. And we said, for now, we are not going to resort to bank borrowing. And we stick to that one. So, talking about leaving the import cover for 4.5 per month, and when they are going, it's about between 3 to 3.5. Let them move 2018. We met it there. So there is a drastic reduction for a month different in that import cover. That's why they said now we are depleting the reserve. We are depleting it. I mean, we are not living in the worry. Let us make some economic analysis and profile reasons. Because Mr. Minister sitting here, he has not told us it's a rocket science for us to fix the economy. He said you have to maintain the economic variables for you to control inflation, for you to talk about total generation of your domestic revenue. And in fact, he has profiled. He said in paragraph 45, I am going to have a performance contract with NRE. He has not run away from it. He is saying the truth, not to else but the truth. But we project at it SFP, we are going to fix, we are not increase healthcare of this percent, we are drastically reduce, allow us to roll out economic policies which have benefited this country. When we started education, they carried us down. When, you know, it is a very interesting country. When students are passing high grades, they will come to him to say, oh, in fact, why are they passing too much? When we are doing well, we started with domestic, using the fiscal discipline. We mobilize domestic revenue to roll out the free and quality education. Today we are benefiting from that. That one is stable now. And we come to how do we roll out? Well, we have decided to take from that percentage and we are going to fix the economic sector in other places to benefit. So let me continue with this import cover that we said we left for Pakaba's days 4.5%, 4.5 months. And also in the days of the former president, they left somewhere between 3 to 3.5 months. Now, if you go down to the bank and you talk to the minister and the team, before the COVID, in fact, I can give justification for the previous administration. You know why they reduced to 3 to 3.5 months for the import cover? It was because of Ebola. These are factors affected us so much. We shut down this country for a very long time because of Ebola. So we face reality. These are things that happen, and these are factors that will shake the economy. Mr. I don't really answer cost now. Maybe the minister will respond to that. SO2, if you lock for today, you give for the day, you don't collect revenue, you are losing millions of dollars. Millions. Around top of millions, we know all of us talk about the new currency. So sometimes you just say, we shut down for several days just to cover the Ebola crisis we have, the menace. And it was called because of maladministration. We refused to listen to professionals. And we said, no, now politics will be bad. I mean, that caused for so much damage. So I can give justification for the import cover, why the reduction before they left office. Now, if you look at before COVID, you can realize that we are something like 5.8 months in terms of the import cover. 5.8 months. That is clear. But post-COVID, that's why we are starting. We are going this way and we are recovering. Countries are not recovering today. Since the COVID came, America, big economies. Big economies, talk about the Americans, you talk about America, you talk about China, you talk about Germany. So the recovery period was huge. We have not examined those variables. We just stand to speak. Well, why are we there? Import cover, depleting the reserve. Why are we doing this? Have we studied the intra-economic variables and the external economic variables that are affecting us? No. Let us be informed by data. Let us be informed by data. What we have not done, we have not listened, bring out the data. Yes, Mr. Minister, this is reduction. What was it called? For us, before the import cover reduced to 2.20 monthly, it's because of the post-COVID recovery. Go to the bank governor. He will tell you so much that is happening. Who is in charge of the reserve? It's the bank governor sitting here. He tells you so much. We should be informed by data. This political statement, because we want to win the gallery, we should stop. We have not fixed our economy for over how many years? Independent. We don't want to go to history. Your business in governance is to make sure you fix what has been broken. And what has been broken in this country is bad governance maladministration. For over how many years, one set of people ruling us. And now they are talking to us to play magic to fix everything. So I don't want us to do that correction. But let us look at inflation. Paragraph 4, paragraph 19. Mr. Minister, first let me commend you. Yeah? Let me commend you. Let me commend the bank governor because they hold they are the pivotal in terms of looking at the inflationary rate. I want anybody to go where there is not people are not fighting inflation. There is inflation all over the world. We are not happy. That is why I said when they talk about the fiscal strategy document, they said we will reduce, and they started for reduce. We reduce. We are seeing double digit at that time. They said at this time we reduce the inflationary rate from this time to this time, and so amount. If we are to 20%, we'll come down to 10%, we'll come down to 11%. Before the last budget, when it came, at monthly, we are at single digits. We reduced to something where as far as something like 11 to 12, something 11% in terms of fighting inflation. So when we came here, remember in my statement, after it was supplementary, I said monthly, before this crisis going on now, I said we have a monthly inflation at single digits, annually double digits, but reduce one. Reduce. So let me refer to the paragraph. They are saying we are still fighting inflation, but they are giving factors where we are fighting inflation. First, we have the external shocks. Nobody fear fight in the Middle East. And fear crisis is an influential commodity. It's a really essential and influential commodity. Play both the livelihood of people and also the politics of it. So you see, in fact, look at what is happening. Anytime you hear President Trump talking about we are going to cease fire, the oil price will fall, the crude oil will start to go down. But when he says we are going to strike Iran, automatically after 2 days we see the oil price go down. So there is still politics playing because this commodity is a political commodity. He is playing with the market. No matter how you look at it. Now, 2 days ago they said they are not going to bomb Iran for 2 days, and you saw the price coming down. Now it's really no biggie because they are bombing each other. We have to look at study the economic factor, the external factor. We always think about inflation is down, we start to shout. How has that been honest? Mr. Speaker, I don't intend to stay too long because these issues are plain forward. They are very plain. They are straight to us. Let me just take you to inflation in paragraph 9. Let me read it. Inflation, which had fallen to 4.1% in December 2025, rose to 8.1% in February. That you're talking about this year. 10.2% in March, and further to 14.8% in June 2026. So you see the trend. Let's go to which standard word is that? In February. You know, you see, Mr. Minister, what they have not followed you is when you make economic policies, they go at the back of your index analysis of what you are doing, try to draw it has gone up. No. Before you go to the back of the budget, read the policies. The policies will inform you about the figures. And why there is increment in figure, you don't check, let me go back to the policies. Let me continue. Yeah, he said, if I have not to grade you for honesty in our economic analysis, I will give you 85%. Yes, because you have really tried. All of you. If we are not too far and we are not living in the world. Now all 85, they're right across from Bangor and your team, all of you in this class 85%. Now let me go. You know, driven largely by increase in fear, transportation and rental costs. If they tell you the insurance risks to transport fear through the Strait of Hormuz, you cannot believe it. It is just a slight thing that we cannot cope with. But you know what you have done? Policies, when policies are genuinely rolled out, when we said we want to liberalize the petroleum market, people are shouting, oh, how can we do it? Can we fix it? You know we are not suffering too much. We have liberalized the petroleum market in this country. We are trying as much as we can to make sure that we depoliticize this particular petroleum product as a political commodity. But it cannot work because of the external factors, which I have stated earlier, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I go further, and they said, based on the IMF reference scenario, which assumes that oil price will average to 8.90 per barrel in 2026. Inflation is projected to rise during the year before falling to 11.6% by December 2026. So you see the fluctuation in the inflationary rate, and they have given the factor what is responsible for this inflationary rate. Mr. Minister is subsidizing. Now, you remember in 2 years down the line, you are under first-time scrutiny and your team that you should not subsidize for fear. You came here, you increased the fear rate. You remove it, everybody was shouting. It's not good for before the general election. You remove it, and they said you should not subsidize. Today, when you are subsidizing, are you querying IMF? Because they have questioned. They have said the oil price will go up 8.6% per barrel towards December 2026. We are not too far from December. We are not transiting to August. These are some of the economic factors that we are talking about. If you want to build a strong house, you have to check the foundation. So in the stabilization of the economy, you look at economic policies. Are they working? Now, we have examined that. I will not bore you with reading about paragraph 4, because that's also supporting the inflationary rate. But I want to see all over the world, SO2, they fight inflation. China, they are fighting. America, big economies, they are doing it. What is wrong with us? People I think we are playing, we want to play magic, deny the minister, say there is inflation. Has he denied? He has not denied. He has not. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the other one. Servicing domestic debt. The issue why the service domestic debt are external debt. External debt is not common, you manage it. But domestic debt, now they mesmerize the economy. Oh yes. Today, if you inject more revenue and you inject to pay your domestic debt, your contractors. If I pay one contractor, I have to, let me say I pay 90% of all domestic debt. The economy is always mesmerized. People will stand dancing. They will pay people. You will see everything going on. They have not changed from that. They have not changed from that. They said there are challenges, but they have still tried to manage the domestic external debt. He has elucidated clearly on that. He has taken his time to narrate the story. But let me just take one paragraph so people can understand. Paragraph 7 on domestic debt relief. And he said, paragraph 7, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am also pleased to report that the rate of public debt accumulated moderated to 6.1% in 2025 and from 9.8% in 2024, reflecting strong fiscal adjustment and effective debt management. You know, anytime he was talking about trying to fix up the economy, he will give an adjective. He said, an effective fiscal management. There is no way you are going to service your debt if you cannot take care of your fiscal stability or fiscal discipline, or look at the variables that you need to take care of. If you don't take care of specific variables that switch you in and back, and how do you stabilize the economy, it will take you so many, they have billion attacks. But they know, with his team, right from the bank governor's team to the Minister of Finance, they are all trying to fix this one, so we can get a stable economy. Now they said public debt stood at $3.3 billion, decreasing as a ratio to GDP to 44.7% in 2025, from 8.1% in 2024 and 49.9% in 2023. You see, they are very crafty. Before this factor, talking about the fight and the Middle East, the oil price went up, paying for subsidies. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, paying for subsidies is not something cheap. The money is huge, which he has stated. It's not any cheap business. It's not a luxury. Nobody wants to spend on something that is really not getting money from. How can Mr. Minister be so wicked, think he wants to pay subsidy for people? No, he is not like that. He is trying to say there are external factors we have to reckon with. The only way we can fix it is to pay fair subsidy. And they are saying about pro-poor. This project is pro-poor. If you can pay fair subsidy, and subsidy that is an influential commodity, you're taking care of the fair subsidy. It has then it will take care of effect that is going to make you strenuous. But if files push you in for the fear, which are influential commodity, how to do with the livelihood of people, I think the project is going towards pro-poor. I will come to that where they are giving, like they did for the macroeconomic budget performance in 2020, where they talk about the QUAP. They injected billions of the own money to make sure that there's essential commodities in the market. He has also stated it here. It's also here. Because of this economic shock we are getting, this war in Iraq we are talking about, they have made provision for essential commodities to stay in market. I will come to that very soon. Now let's go to external debt. They said, the figures, I don't really want to read more because of time. If you just look at the figures, before 2026 this February, you see the way they have been dealing with the public debt. They have been very systematic, going down, because they know that when all things be equal, they will have been well. But because of they are now coming to pay subsidy, and let me tell you why they are paying extra. I initially questioned them, why are you paying for extra? Those in the private sector, they are making huge amounts of money in the factories and other things. Why do you pay subsidies? Because they want to maintain some stability in the system, the economic system. If you don't pay for the PPP arrangement at ESA, because the collection, but it's not a real advantage, why do you don't need for pay for it? Why do you need for subsidy? When I come to that to talk about the subsidy for ESA, I have my own personal view. I don't think we wholly subscribe to pay for subsidy for ESA. We should be able to analyze, where do we pay subsidy? Why do we not pay subsidy here for ESA to operate? Because we are looking at certain arrangement that will benefit us so that we can manage the economy and the livelihood of people. Mr. Speaker, honorable members. Now, it's a strong fiscal consolidation. I really don't want to dwell on that much. But everything we are talking about, post-COVID recovery plans, Mr. Minister, he just made reference to it about post-COVID. As I speak, we are still having a shock of post-COVID, of the effect of COVID. We are just like we had a shock from Ebola. We did not stabilize as much, and now COVID came in. We are still dealing with the post-COVID recovery program. And if you are talking about those issues that we need to solve, you have to bring out policies where economic variables that are really needs to be stable for us to control the economy. To control our economy. If you don't bring them, if you don't introduce fiscal consolidation, if you don't introduce strong fiscal policies, there is no way you are going to do it. Now, Mr. Speaker, why fiscal consolidation? Talking about the GDP performance, talking about the post-COVID in time for the first time here. He has talking about the surplus. You have given it a strong indicator. Why do we need to talk about the surplus of 1.3% of GDP in 2025? These are all things that, when all things being equal, they are comfortable to talk about post-recovery program. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me now talk about the climate finance. Climate finance. It's a smart one. Today, climate financing is hitting us good, bad. And in the Paris Agreement, we are a vulnerable country. Sierra Leone is between the first 5 countries that are vulnerable in terms of climate change. So there are some agreements that we have passed, we have signed. Mr. Minister knows better than I do that we need to enhance climate financing. It's telling on us. If the big 5 years, I'm talking about agricultural productivity. If you really want to enhance productivity, our livelihood, we have to address the issue of climate change. We need to pay attention to climate finance. There is no way we are now going to look at pure productivity in our sector if you don't really study the climate effect around us. So what he has done, let me just make a quick reference how to deal with it. Paragraph 12 said, let me just read the last line in terms of climate financing. He said the program we support, that is the macro performance under the International Monetary Fund IMF program. Let me just take you to the last effect. After he has done, he said resilience and sustainability facility, RSF, amounting to 211.5 million to be disbursed between June 2025 and December 2027. The program will support our efforts in mitigating and adapting the climate change risk. If we are vulnerable as we are now to climate change, we don't take certain lines to make sure that if we take our steps, take our time to curb climate change and the risk, the shock that's climate change. As I speak, the farming system, in fact, in terms of agricultural productivity, climate change is greatly affecting it. And we have to address it using the World Bank programs, the IMF conditionalities. That's what we do. And he said, the third review in the same paragraph 12, he said the third review of our performance in June 2025, triggering the disbursement of 31.7 million in addition to the 75.8 million disbursed in December 2025 as budget and balance for payment support. Furthermore, the IMF Executive Board approved government requests for another program for resilience and sustainability. These are all talking about how do we handle climate, because in the order of the day, you are financing for to mitigate the effect of it. If we are talking about agricultural, in other areas, climate change, environmental factors, we must pay attention to climate financing. I feel those who are the great emitters destroying the climate, now some are running away, some are saying they don't believe in it, but we should go all out. So what you have done, Mr. Minister, is to push the World Bank IMF so that we can get some resources from climate change, and from climate change we solve other issues affecting us. So he has given us a grip of the analysis of the review that they have done. In the second half of the review that you have received, in the third half of the review that you have received, stated them clearly in our budget. So climate financing is we have to record it. It's just the best that we can do. If you talk about agricultural productivity, you have to address the issue of climate change. If you have to talk about reduction in the risk of human survival, so then we are seeing it happening. This is the rainy season. August is coming. Mr. Minister, you have to empower sectors that we will have to mitigate climate change, like the Disaster Management Agency, the Ministry of Environment. These are areas that you need to inject money. And even the agricultural sector, if you want to go to Tomago, you don't talk about irrigation. You want to have a good yield in productivity. What do we do in terms of climate change? So climate finance is essential for the big five, especially agricultural activity and even our livelihood. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, there is this one that we don't make compromise. I have decided to leave it maybe in my wrap. Let me just put it off to run it up. The GST. the GST. First, people are blaming that we are giving away GST as if when we are negotiating, we don't think about Sierra Leone. Let me first commend you that when you came in governance, you tried to review most of the waivers. We are poor countries. Why are we behaving as if we are really rich? We are operating cash budget. Cash budget. And so to which we can now spend. In fact, when they are about to pay salaries, since the days of Shaka Stevens, in fact, they are better enough. We have times where they can't pay salaries. Less than 10, 11 years down the line. We stay months. They will say, oh, we'll wait. They will pay half, Mr. Speaker. They will pay half and they will say, wait, we'll pay the other sector. By the time you get to the end of the other month, they are still about to pay the other salary for the last month. Why are we behaving as if we don't know what is happening? He is now saying, and that's what we should do, that if we are ready to go to have more of fiscal discipline, and he has not delivered to us as if he's a hypocrite. He has been very open. The issue of GST, and when he came in review of some of these agreements, we know giving away is a way of incentive. It's an incentive, Mr. Speaker. We are not giving away as if we are crazy. In fact, there are caveats. We have placed caveats in agreements where we think we use the GST as a bargaining chip for incentives so that people can invest. You know, we have this private governance partnership. And one such agreement that we passed in this house, Mr. Minister, let me read. People are saying, recently we passed the government printing. I used it because somebody mentioned it. The joint venture agreement between Ministry of Information and Civic Education and the Leone printing groups. Tax under the rubric 5 tax waiver and exemption. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, permit me to read this provision. And we have to pay keen attention. GST is not problem. For every agreement under the leadership of Mr. Minister, we are giving caveat. It's just a limited time. It's not forever. So NRA is charged with the responsibility to monitor how long we are giving the tax waiver to last. What they are doing, when we give tax waiver, and that is a right. That is why when I started with talking about debate, I mentioned section 110 of the Constitution, protection of taxes, giving tax waivers to people. Now, they said, there shall be a grant of tax exemptions and waivers covering import duty on all goods, in bracket, materials and equipment, corporate income tax, and all other tax obligations relating to the activities of this agreement. Part A is the government. Part A is the government in this agreement. Deemed necessary for a period of 10 years. They said deemed necessary. They will give tax waiver. Part A, the government will give tax waiver. Deemed necessary for a period of 10 years. So they are not saying it's forever the lifespan of the agreement. In fact, for the 10 years, they will check if it's going to do with equipment or not. They will say, no, we are not going to accept. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you when I was over there, between 2007 and 2012, and that they came with tax waivers, household furniture, talking about things that have nothing to do with the investment program. I had to question them. Why do you talk about furniture? Why do you talk about things that are not material to the agreement? They said, will pass. And I told them in my submission that others will collapse before the end of this 5-year term. And indeed, others collapsed before the tenure between 2007 to 2012. So in our own administration, we are not perfect. We are not perfect. There is complete shock at NRA in terms of GST. Maybe they will be doing areas better in other areas. We are making too much, we are exhausting customs as if it's the only point you can collect that. But let me tell you, if we manage our GST very well. And he has said 10,000 electronic machines are now available for them to be used. You have a population in Abuja, over 20 million people are living in Abuja. But you go to the market women, they are using the cash register machines to collect GST. Mr. Speaker, every day, every minute we pay for GST. If you only concentrate in true discipline, stricto sensu, to collect GST, we cannot board it inside our cash budget. Trust me, this is a real truth, not the egg but the truth. Only GST can save us. Mr. Minister, Mr. Speaker, GST is every minute activity. When I say this to you, you go to the shop, just along this model, check the shops you have. If there is any cancellation machines, we are paying, every day price goes up. I pay 10,000 Leone, but if I didn't pay 10,000 Leone, 1 Leone should come to the government. Multiply 8,000 transactions per day with 1 Leone, how much you can get for every day? That is what is happening in America. You go to the mall, you go to the shops, you go everywhere, you pay GST every minute transaction. GST now minute transaction. But this is reckless of us. They used to say, I will put a minister on a body for say, will not perform. NRA is not performing on a GST. They are not. They are just rebel rousers in terms of revenue collection. They are rebel rousers. Yes, they are. I have no regrets in saying it. NRA is a complete mess in terms of GST. Let me tell Mr. Minister, we know the act very well. Yeah, there will be a time we'll move a motion, we'll go after NRA. First, I can understand his frustration. He said in this document, I'm not going to bother to read, 10,000 electronic cash machines. 10,000. And he said GST is underperforming. He has not given away anything. To say, I'm giving you this to consume. No, he has given us the truth, not to echo the truth. For GST, Mr. Speaker, GST alone can take care of some of our problems. And we're chasing this zone of grant issues coming here, conditionalities. We are making ourselves for $20–30 million when we can raise that one year with GST. And somebody gave a good analysis, the chairman, about 30 billion is cost our budget. What cost us to GST alone? Can raise, if not 80% or 70%, at least half of that can save us. It's not any the secret. Cash budget now the wrong. When they are paying salaries now, every other things come to standstill. Because NRA is underperforming in terms of GST. He has not kept that one on the table. He has exposed it, said GST is not performing. And that is what we are relying on. And when we give tax waivers, that is an incentive for us to encourage the private-public partnership. Yes. And it's a limited time given to us. It's a limited time given to us. When we leave this place, they will start to tell us, we don't mend them, politicians, and let me say the least, they are conniving with those who pay GST. Because if you don't have monitors, tax monitors, to make sure that you're in compliance with taxes for GST, they should arrest you, prosecute you. There should be GST courts. All of these, if to multiply the population, we have, say, this western area, you get to Abacha Street, you get to Kisiru, you get to Wilberforce Street, calculate those shops, even the market, if everybody is sitting in the street, you don't need to register GST. 2 Leone, 1 Leone. Just do rough estimates what should we get from GST, not by sitting down. If actually GST is taken, Mr. Speaker, you can collect in less than 5 hours, you can collect 1 billion. I challenge this. That's not old money I'm talking about, new money, 1 million. You can collect it. So if you are really serious, really monitor the implementation of the GST. I admire the former commissioner. I'm not biased. I saw him appliquing Siru in shops. And he was not supposed to do it. But he sent some kind of shock to the business people that we are going to change the GST. Just after that they left, people start to compromise. But where are those machines? I went by, there's a place where my 91 gas station. I bought some at the minimart. And I asked my guys using calculators, where is that? I said, one GST. GST produces. And I called one of the commissioners. I said, these guys here, these are their names. That's one MP tell me, when you go for transaction, are they giving me GST receipt? No. In fact, if you don't, you force them to give you GST. But Mr. Speaker, what are all this for? All this jargon we are speaking, you don't confirm healthcare 22%, we have reduction in it. Nothing is hidden, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to go to figure. Nothing is hidden. What we should help the minister as members of parliament, how do we enforce? GST is our biggest challenge. GST is our biggest challenge. And we call it's traditional collection of taxes, custom duty. But custom we tackle. I've told the minister and his team, automation. I've started this over 3 years ago. Let us automate. But even the one that you have brought the cash register machines, they are fidgeting it. Now we are talking about automating the system at port. How do you expect people to take in port clearance in China with a population of over how many billion people? You think you have to go every day to the port? No. It's an automated system. If you take the hands off people, if you take people's hands off, the human touch, trust me, every day we can collect billions in old money, millions in new money. The human touch is reduced. The human touch is reduced. And all of this, Maputo declaration for agriculture is 10% of GDP. Now, the way they are talking about, we did not reduce health GDP. No. For education, we are 22%. Health will increase. So we want to take health for GDP. Mr. Minister can react to that. That we want to take it to 22, 25 as it is will be. For me, I believe in projection. The way I believe in projection, it's only in projection that you can look at for the economic factors. Oh, I cannot achieve the projection. You anticipate the economic future. Yes, a good economist project the future. So you can guide yourself. Now let me come to the two factors we group of 2020 macroeconomic budgeting performance. When we introduced the QUAP, they said we are going to fail. They said we will fail to make sure that we maintain essential commodities in the market, so that we cannot short of goods that will cripple our economy. What happened? They introduced over 500 billion in the old money. 500 billion, so that they encourage the business community to import those goods and leverage certain taxes, so that essential goods cannot go scarce in the market. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as I speak here, we did not short of essential commodities. Even after COVID, we are still have them in huge stock. These are some of the things that you predict. That's why I said it should be futuristic in terms of dealing with your economy. Now, coming to this one, somebody said the budget is not pro-poor. This budget is pro-poor. Let me read something to you that they are doing for maintaining the essential commodities in the market. This thing at the Middle East is not going to end soon. It's not going to end soon. They are playing politics with the economy, economic with the people. That's how we are doing. Now let me take you where the minister is very magnanimous with his team that we are pro-poor. The budget is pro-poor. Under the revised expenditure projections. You see,
are you still going to be down?
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. He said,
yeah, we are leader of government.
He said, Mr. Minister and Mr. Speaker, permit me to go read this motion. You know why? You see, people are tired about economic jargon. Maybe when we talk about GDP plus this is equal to 10% productivity, they are not interested. I believe in him, the minister. When I stood here, I debated for the macroeconomic factors that are performance of this country in 2020. And I realized something out of it. The business community boomed during the COVID because they are supported by this government. Now, this one we should treat very seriously. I'm coming to read. He said, let me read. Briefly repeat. He said, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, he said, total expenditure and maintaining are revised upwards by 217.2 million to 30.3 billion, 6.2% of GDP, reflecting the increase in recurrent expenditure by 1.4 million to 23.0 billion, 12.3% of GDP. This is to accommodate the increase in subsidies and transfers, covering mainly subsidies to EXA for payment to independent power producers, amounting to 1.4 billion to avoid any immediate increase in electricity tariff. That is one. And it's going further. The amount also includes 243.0 billion to be paid to oil marketing companies. As fair subsidies to mitigate the impact of increase in price of petroleum product on our people. I will stop there. Increase in price of petroleum product to our people. You are proposal. Let me tell you, Yeah, futuristic. Now, if you allow the fuel price to go up, 50 fata, SO2, tell me what will happen in Kubo, in Tongo, in Kwendu, in Bokakajama, Gunamayama. Prices will start to increase. These are influential commodities that we need to take care of. SO2, you feel, said the minister, one for West government money. In the rule of government, a senior government places people at the center of governance. What he has done, he has looked at all the economic analysis. He has moved the people at the center of this crisis. I will feel for the people. You can fool people sometimes, but you can't fool people all the time. If every day there's increase in fuel products, every day there's increase in basic commodities, with confidence we die, people will demonstrate. We have demonstration in Asia, in Kenya, other places, for fuel price increase. But in Freetown, in Sierra Leone, we don't have that excuse. We have maintained stability in terms of fuel prices because we are subsidizing people's center economy. We are pro-poor. We are not speaking economic jargon alone, but we are intertwining economic jargon with people's reality. You can't tell politics, this one, percent, this is going to be that, GDP of 4% of that. We are tired. We are tired. That is why we are lambasting NRA. That GST must be collected. Must be collected. And paragraph 45 in this budget, paragraph 45, Mr. Speaker, we are going to monitor the minister to sign that performance contract with NRA. But this is no sympathy. I have no sympathy. I have no regret in telling that they are based on performance in terms of GST. We are here. We are asking for our welfare to be reviewed. Well, I tell you, 74 in our budget. This was the debate to talk about our budget. Parliamentary budget. Section 74, subsection 4 of the National Constitution. We have no limit to our budget. We just strike compromise. But there's a caveat. The availability of funds. You know, so you think I'm going to sit here talking to the minister, increase our welfare, increase our salary, increase salaries of teachers and nurses, doctors. If they are not performing, they are killing us, Mr. Speaker. They are killing us. So GST, let me tell you, people are conniving. That contract he said he's going to sign, we are going to monitor. I think it's going to be the fall apart after today. Because this is the policy statement. We want to see the contract. We will demand Mr. Minister to lay that contract here. And let me just submit to this house, Mr. Minister. Yeah, Mr. Minister. That 3% they are getting. Finance bill, they will be drawn and answer. If you don't see that contract, if they are not performing, we will review that one. It should be on benchmarks. Because they are getting it pro bono, that's why they are behaving that way. And we want to ask for it. I have sent a notice of motion. Our welfare we are going to discuss. But we are going to be very reasonable with the availability of funds. But that doesn't mean we cannot talk about our welfare. We must talk about our welfare, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Member. But we are very reasonable and rational members of Parliament. We will talk about it. Yeah? And that is our constitutional right. You can't take it from us. But if we want to be reasonable, and one set of people, they are enriching themselves, they are ignoring to do the right thing. You are spending money on them, train them. You have bought over 10,000 electronic machines and they are not using it. They are connected with business people. They have no business to be there. Let us privatize the sector of GST. Let us look out for experts. Let's look out for experts. We are here, we receive peoples. We have to cry. We have to raise up with the Mr. Minister. That, no, three out of our we pushed. We are here we talk people. I went to the minister. They say, yeah, we have to solve reform. We have to push our way. The opposition leaders talk to people. But we are. Because at the time it was just a reform. They are on recess. Whilst we are working. So, but you know the work I need to so while my colleague was on recess, we are busy here working. So when they got only 3 people, over 10 leaders, 20 leaders, as the case may be. And they said, let us, when they come, we will address that. But you have addressed it that we try. But to be very honest, this is not malice. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mr. Minister, I'm not malicious. Everybody knows in this parliament, I'm not a malicious person. I told at the customs, let me let SO2, let for crime of customs. Just automate the customs, you see. Just automate. Let us automate and see. When you automate, you see. Let me tell you why BSL and others are performing. Yeah? With all due respect to the bank governor, I don't want to mention him, but I have to. Dr. Stephen is performing because he has institutional memory. I'm not wrapping up. When he came, you look, we passed document that he was calling me every day. Pass that document, pass that document. I took my time to ask myself, why this man is forcing me to read this document? When I read the document, I realized that he brings a regulating mechanism to control the commercial banks. Yes, those deposit funds that he was after us. He was not only doing it for World Bank conditionality, but he said, let us control these banks. Today there is a bank that is going down. It has gone down already. You know what they do? SO2. They rush me, they take care of the bank. They deploy police bank in you. That is a local bank. And there is a policy that you keep your reserve there. But they went swiftly, they took over the bank to protect Sierra Leoneans. This is indigenous bank. So policies are not there because you are there. You in the institution, you have to twist the policies. You have to twist them so that you can control those who you are dealing with. Twist in a positive direction for the interest of the state. So, Mr. Minister, if they cannot fix the GST, why you want to do GST penal? Like because for me, if the custom is giving problem, why can't you automate 100%? These are my questions that you need to answer. In summary, you said in 2023. In Wages and Compensation Commission, Wages and Compensation Act 2023, he said, you know, where Kiwadi Minister, I see something in him. Honesty.
Is there a spirit back?
You know, it's not a spirit. It's a Holy Ghost fire. Holy Ghost fire. No, you know, we passed the Wages and Compensation Act 2023. If this Mr. Minister you are telling about us, we have to review the wages. We are not harmonized. Why do we have the commission? We are not harmonized. Have you looked at that Wages Compensation Commission Act? It's so good. One of the problems that we are getting, the disadvantages to certain people, the advantage to certain people, because of salary disparities. We have not addressed that issue. And Mr. Minister is just telling us, if you go to, let me just steal your attention so that people can make reference for the edification of the public. Go to paragraph 47. Paragraph 47. He said, in regard, government will continue under the expenditure management measures. You know, Honorable Abdulkam, you know, every day you blast us for wages. You have lambasted us, we listen. But one way, yes, we increase wages because we want children to meet their expenditure, their basic needs. But certain times, the disparity discourages us. The disparity. And he says, listen to Mr. Minister, he says, in this regard, government will continue, this is on expenditure management. In this regard, government will continue to implement the medium-term wage bill management strategy to prevent overruns in the wages bill. Recruitment and in-year adjustment to salary will be done within the wages bill envelope. The question we ask ourselves, have we harmonized the wages? Why there are so disparities so huge? That's why he's talking about. But he has skillfully put it so that we can understand in terms of economic stuff that we marry the wages bill. No. Let me tell you, Mr. Minister, we have not harmonized it. We have not harmonized it. And your ministry is under questioning for the inconsistencies in it. I will not even say it here, but you will hear them when it comes to the budget. But let me state.
For the first time, the leader of the business is playing.
It's not the first time. I listen to the cry of the opposition. Let us force them to come to the table to see how we harmonize these wages. You have skillfully put it in an economic term, but the fact remains that there is still huge disparity in the wages. So if you are the same kid, because you are Minister of Finance, you are getting blah blah blah, and the other person is there getting blah blah blah. We start to think, is it fair enough? But this minister is very plain. He said we have to review. You know where he put it on our expenditure. Yes, these are things that you have to reckon. So I thank you, Mr. Minister. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the only one in there bringing for being so honest with us, for bringing these economic policies, for bringing reality and people center. You said you want to pro-poor. You have not only done it before, but you are about to do it now. And you are started subsidizing. Before coming to Parliament, you are subsidizing. And it's good for you, somebody mentioned it here, about subsidy. How much you are spending much on subsidy. You should state it. Let people know. People wanted to create self-scarcity. And he said, I will not accept you as the Minister of Trade. He said he will give you the issue. Mr. Speaker, as I stand here, they don't put a fair station in the back. They will continue to subsidize on the basic needs of the people. Thank you for bringing us to speak. You will get to school for. Thank you, colleague. Thank you, Honorable October and team. Our paramount is thank you very much for this. Thank you. May the Lord bless us all. All right.
Thank you very much, leader of government business. That was well put. You have also made my day like the leader of the opposition and like the Deputy Speaker. Mr. Minister, can you summarize? Is it possible?
I can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the House for a very spirited debate of the supplementary budget. And as you are all aware, the supplementary budget is a legal and statutory obligation of the Ministry, of the Minister and the Ministry of Finance and the whole of the Executive to ensure that in the course, and it is time bound. It appears as if today is the last day to do that in by law. Beyond that, we can't. So I am all here to ensure that we fulfill the mandates as provided in the Constitution. So a lot is being said, but I just want to clarify some of the issues that have emerged from the debate. One, really, as we try to fulfill the legal and statutory requirements, another important matter for budget provisions. These are laws that are passed. And when these laws are passed, they are assessed and judged internationally. So when we have changes to those laws that are driven by the assumptions we brought here that informed the House to pass those laws, it is but right that we come back and be frank about them and provide the justification for those adjustments. That's what they call the credibility of the budget. It assures the credibility of the fiscal framework of the government, which many entities of government, but also international partners, have been involved in negotiating and discussing with us to inform you to pass. So I had said that one of the main reasons is to assure of budget credibility of our fiscal framework as well. And what is underpinning that is the fact that the results that we had in 2025 were very solid. And we have been assessed as having attained macroeconomic stability as a country, where solid indicators were at levels that we think were good for the country. We have created buffers. In fact, what we are doing is we are capitalizing on that buffer to bring these recommendations for adjustments. That's what we did. And it is the buffer that is allowing us to continue to maintain the relative stability that we continue to enjoy as a state. The environment that we find ourselves in the world, we as economists will assess it as a permanent shock, because that shock, we believe, is going to be with us for a time we cannot predict. And I think in our own judgments, even up to 2027, 2028, if there are no major changes globally around what is happening in the Middle East, we have to sit up very tight as a country to ensure that our own internal policies are actually pronounced or couched or structured in the way that we are able to cushion the impact of those. And that is why we have placed so much attention for us to be able to make sure that our domestic revenue efforts are robust and solid. And the reason is simple, because the West have changed the way they are engaging with the rest of the world. They are actually thinking of funding more of their own domestic resources, spending more on arms and ammunition, increasing their own defense budget, and they are not giving monies to developing countries anymore. Not at the scale at which they used to do. So we have to look internally and make sure that we shore ourselves up, whether from the taxes we collect, which we should, and I really appreciate the passionate posture and position and pronouncements by the leader of government business around robustness in domestic revenue mobilization and the express emphasis on goods and services taxation, which is the engine and the workhorse of taxation that we all know. So I'm happy that you really did that emphasis, and I want to assure you that what we had agreed with the NRA, which is to ensure that we give them a contract that we clearly set out performance standards for them, and we hold them to the fire for minimum 3% that they get. That one is signed, and we are open to come and be answerable to it in the House. So we will restore the revenues that we are lost. Because of the half year, some revenues that were lost. But I just want to assure you that compared to 2025, most of the policy pronouncements that we made on tax policies, they are being implemented, and there's a serious movement there's some improvements in the revenue collection, there's serious additions. The truth here is that the targets that we had set for 2026, those targets have been affected by economic activities that have been dwindling because of what is happening in the state of Omos. So I just wanted and therefore we have revised most of the indicators. One of the so for GDP, for example, we projected that it will only grow by 4% as against 4.5% as a projection. But also an important indicator why we came here, and I actually explained it in the speech, in the statement that I read. We had projected the barrel of fuel, petroleum product, at $70 per barrel. That's what we hinged all our projections on the entire fiscal framework. Now you all agree with me that the average price, it has gone up to over $120 on average. So movement from 70 to 120 is huge. And for us, we know petroleum products, these are composite commodities. When we use the word composite commodity, that commodity, its price impacts on every other commodity or activity of goods and services in a country. And we are importing that we're not producing here, and our technologies in this country hinge on those products, whether it's the one we do for industries to run, or you do for having energy to run in the country, or even the vehicles that you use. We're using petroleum products to move goods and services in the country. So if you increase the price of goods and services, you begin to see the impact on the general price level in the country. And that manifested very quickly in Sierra Leone between January, February, March, up to June. And that was on top of the policy pronouncement that we did, which we did not anticipate that war. We had from the previous year made adjustments in fuel taxes. Now what we have done in the course of this year, we have protected the fuel taxes we did not adjust. We did not come back to Parliament to say, we had actually provided these taxes, can you come and revise them? Because we will not be assured of the revenues to be collected. So what we did as a government is to negotiate and ensure that we get the cabinet to give us that, and the Parliament to give us that power. That we will have a provision of about minimum $10 million that will allow us to ensure that we have a subsidy in the petroleum pricing formula. Very transparently put. And then we try and ensure that we place the price of petrol at the level that we believe is consistent with what we think can moderate the shock in the system. So right now, we are monitoring the price of fuel on a daily basis. Sincerely, it is on the high side. And it's been going up, it's way above the 33 leones per litre for petrol or 35 leones per litre for diesel. They are way in the 40s and 45, 46, as I say. So what we are doing as a government is those companies, and all of them that I was asked to pronounce who is benefiting, it is all the oil marketing companies that are in the country that are actually involved in the importation and uplifting and paying taxes fully on the value that is uplifted. That difference between those is what we calculate on a month-by-month basis, we reconcile, and then we pay the subsidy. It is general subsidy that is going to everybody because we believe it is reduced, it is help us reduce the rate at which the general price level will increase. So I just wanted to adjust that. The other important component that we have been talking about is the whole issue of what has changed in the spending. Well, if the subsidy a new form of spending, and we are subsidizing the IPPs as well, it is not only Cap Power, it is Planet Solar, it is CI Energy in Cote d'Ivoire, whom we are trading with. It is all of this, it is Guinea that we are importing fuel from, energy from, all these other IPPs that are helping us have access to energy in the country. We ensure that we subsidize EXA. Now, because of the rise in the price of petroleum products, we are supposed to adjust the electricity tariffs because they cannot, it just doesn't match. But in there, we are providing subsidy just to minimize the impact of this crisis on the general population. That's basically why we came back here to say with those major spending that we are doing, it will distort the budget, so we recalibrate the entire budget. Now, but in 2026, there are very important components that we are going to be expanding on. Education is crucial. We've paid already for the half year most of those things that have to do with school fees, school feeding, and exam fees for students. That most of what you see in the budget is what is needed for the remainder of the year. So we try to recalibrate on what will be required to pay for the rest of the year values. That's what is in the estimate. And then we adjust the overall budget and come and get legal ratification or approval by Parliament to pass the law. So those adjustments you see for education, we try to maintain. The adjustments you see for census, because census is going to be undertaken this year. We've done a lot of the spending already in investing in the procurement of the machines that will be utilized, but also the preliminary work that has to go into the entire census framing and training and making sure that people are ready to go. We've done most of those spending. The remainder we provision for it so that this census can take place at the end of the year. Equally so, we had front-loaded most of the capital spending for roads in, like I said, the road on the Toke Road. We've done water systems in the country, 95% completed across 6 districts. We funded those roads in Puja, Mbandajuma, all those roads. Those are things that we are taking up that we thought is important to readjust because of the seasonality. By the rest of the year, we are not going to spend again. So the adjustments we did in agriculture. Agriculture is also seasonal. If you miss the planting season, no need to worry too much about pumping money there, you're wasting money. So we wanted to really invest in agricultural infrastructure, but the time is past. We have funded most of the people to have access to fertilizer and the like to be able to ensure that we can have the projected productivity for the year 2026. So those other spending for the development of those other ecologies, agroecological zone, we didn't see the need to factor it this year, so it was an area for effective adjustments. So, but for next year, we're going to start, after the approval now, we're going to start discussing 2027 budgets immediately. So you provision for next year and effectively be able to do it. So that's what we have been doing. So I hear concerns around, health, I hear concerns around agriculture dropping, education we maintained to ensure that we don't fall short, and I hear concerns around where is it that we are spending on other sectors. So that's what is driving that. There were things that I had to explain so that at least we understand exactly what we're trying to do. In terms of protection, the budget itself we try to do things that we believe are important for the private sector. So the trade financing facilities that we are bringing into stream is to ensure that the private sector can have adequate supply of essential goods in the country at prices that are reasonable. It's one of the ways to ensure that you are not exposed to the kind of shock that will be for certain goods. So rice, flour, sugar, wheat, all of these things, and then frozen food that are needed in the system. These are resources that are available to selected, controlled by government to a large extent, but we have private sector bringing them in through collateral management structures. So at least we're able to maintain proper price. We do it for those goods, we do it also for petroleum products. And for these things, when we bring them, we are playing a fair playing field for all the petroleum sector entities that are operating in the country, so that we are not discriminating against as well. We do for fertilizer as well. So this is really driven largely by private sector, and to ensure that we are able to stabilize the economy. You spoke a lot about what is happening at the ports, and we take it in good gesture. Because of there is a dwindling in trade activities internationally, because of constraints with shipments. But one fact that we all need to be aware of, our port is too small for this economy. That's the truth. The Pataki is too small for Sierra Leone as an economy. The country needs a new port. The country needs a new port. We need more than even one new port. One that will allow us to export mineral bulk at scale, and the other one that will be for other forms of economic activities to run the economy. We need a new port. That port is congested. But the other important thing is, because the containers that are coming, they are for exports, they are not destined for here. They are not yielding a lot of tax revenue for us. This is really the truth. Because we are under the ETLS structures, we are actually a country that is fully implementing the ECOWAS protocols around trade liberalization and the movement and re-export in our corridors. So that volume is actually affecting what is happening at our ports. And the turnover is very, very, very small. There are other internal problems that may happen in the way the entire port architecture is managed, whether between customs or ports or the police and Borori and all these other guys that are operating in there, which is an administrative issue that must be taken up by us. But the port, I must say, is congested, small. For this economy, we need a new port as a nation. And the government is working on that. So I just want us to know that the issue around duty waivers, I just want to give assurances in the way duty waiver is managed in the country. It is an automated thing. It is electronically, digitally done. It is guided by law. They are done by law and by ratified agreements. There is very limited discretion that is in it. So most of what happens with concessions or waivers that are given, they are really largely justified. Now what we need to do, and there is also a new law that was passed here around waivers and concession that must be given. That's what is guiding what we do. And that discipline on limiting discretion, that room is really very small. So we have given a lot legally as a government through ratified agreements and by law, sector after sector, waivers, because we think that's how we want to spend. That's called tax expenditure. That's how we want to spend revenue that's supposed to come in as taxes. We are spending them that way as a way to boost activities or help certain sectors to be functional in the government. So I have listened very carefully. There are other things they asked me to provide updates on. Very quickly, I'll come to that. Energy sector. We subsidize the energy sector, but there's a lot of reforms that we expect to materialize. They've been slow to come, but they will get there. EDSA is going to be privatized. And we've actually almost concluded on the procurement of the services of an independent private sector concessionaire that will take over EDSA. And they will ensure that there's a complete fundamental reform in the way EDSA becomes financially viable. So that's going to be done, and that will change everything. The accounting structures on EDSA will set up an independent collection entity, accounting entity that manages the access to resources collection, but also payments. So all IPPs and everybody operating in that sector. That's another reform that we are undertaking. And for all the IPPs, like I said, we are paying all the IPPs. It's not just Power. We are paying all of them. That's what the government is subsidizing. As I speak, we're paying KPS every month. We pay BII for the solar. We are paying Cote d'Ivoire. We are paying, like I said, we are paying Guinea as well. Let me explain this whole issue around the way we finance our deficits and the impact of, or the importance of us having our own domestic economy, the structure of it being a sector that we rely on to run the country. When we, and I must say that we have achieved fiscal consolidation in the last, as at the end of 2025. It's an effort that we have been doing in the last 3 years. And we attained primary surpluses to the tune of 7 percentage points of GDP. If it's in that game that we are using resources to subsidize and absorb the shock that we are currently going through. Our deficit level that used to be around 11, 10, 9 percentage points of GDP, excluding grants, was supposed to be around 4.4% this year that we projected. The other adjustment we did is to ensure that it's up to 5.1%. That's very solid. When you include grants, we are at 2.4 or 2.3% points of GDP. I should be very concrete on that number, which is a very solid level with primary surplus. Meaning, on your own effort, can you run your government, excluding paying external debt? And I'm saying that we run the government with a surplus. And that's what we have been trying to do as a government. We are disciplined enough to say, on the revenue you collect, are you able to run your administration after you are taking care of debt service? We are doing it with surplus. This is the discipline we have attained. Now, how are we financing? For any shortfall that you have between revenue and expenditure, you're financing that deficit through two means, domestic and external. What we are doing in the country is that we are focusing less on external modalities of financing our deficits, and because most of that financing that comes from outside is costly and is exposed to different type of risk, exchange rates and the like. We're using the domestic economy to mobilize the revenue required from the banking system or savings from banks and individuals to do what? To provision for us to have access to resources that we can use to fund government needs. That's what we are doing. Is that bad? No. It has to be done in a responsible way. When we take that debt, what are you spending on? I must assure you that most of that debt that we are taking, it's not for paying salaries, because salaries can be paid for by the revenue generated by NRA. So anytime we take that, we are actually investing in productive activities that we think are innovatively, in my view. That's how we will normally say, are you paying for bankable investments? So most of the things we are doing in the country, if we pay infrastructure, we have to ensure that the infrastructure is not charity infrastructure anymore. If you're doing road, they must toll the road. When you're riding on the road, you must pay for it so that we are able to maintain the road. It's the same thing we are doing in the water system. We must make sure that the water system, people pay for water with appropriate tariff. It's the same thing for energy. We should ensure that energy subsidy is minimized, but we need proper manager or concessionaire of the energy sector so that the tariff structure are adjusted appropriately. So debt in a system is not bad. And if our banking system is very well capitalized, and the governor is here, I am very much informed that the banking system in Sierra Leone is well capitalized and profitable, and they have capital to do what? To participate and intermediate in the economy, where such that both private sector and government can have access to the resources required to meet their needs. We are not suffocating private sector. If anything, last year, like I said in the statement, credit to the private sector increased by 48%. After it had increased by 25% the previous year. We are not suffocating them. It tells you the banking system is well capitalized to fund this economy to be able to do something. So if you're a private businessman, you have a very, very solid investment proposal. These banks are ready to give you money. So I just want to encourage, that's why when the government goes there, because the government, they have seen that our macro fundamentals are solid, they are betting on us at even far much more reasonable rates that we can. Even for the foreign currency, we are able to get foreign exchange debts in foreign currency at 9.5% as a government. That's how they bet us. In the domestic economy, it's about 17% that they are giving government debt for. So that's very solid. So I just want to allay your fears that even the debt levels in the government, the debt levels are reasonably managed. We just did an assessment of the debt situation of the government. We are at still high risk of debt distress, but our debt is sustainable. Over the year, towards the end of the year, when we do assessment, there's a transaction we are going to do or some kind of recalibration we'll do with the central bank. We're trying to ensure that we reprofile our exposure, especially in domestic fronts. That will leave us with a moderate risk of debt distress assessment. So, there was something that came around contingencies. Now, the contingency is deliberately provided for in the budget as a shock absorber because we cannot predict how this year is going to end. So after we have provided for all the allocation, that's a buffer that is created within the budget. So the splash fund is not anything, it's a room, it's a contingency. It's a room we provided because we are living in an uncertain environment. And we cannot predict the degree to which certain shocks will take place. So we provided it in there. And that's why we came to seek the authorization from you to be able to have the powers to use them when problem comes, we trigger and have access to those resources. It could be for increasing the subsidy, it can be for any other shock that comes beyond what we anticipate. So that's what we put in it, and contingency are part of the law. It's part of the PFM Act. We ask come here to ask for it. As an active discussion around the ECOWAS hosting. There's a really active discussion around the ECOWAS, and I've been listening to it even in the radios. I just want to lay that to rest. It is this Honorable House that actually ratified the Public-Private Partnership Agreement that accorded SUAM, FB Group, that has a concession in that jurisdiction, the airport jurisdiction, to do what? To undertake that particular infrastructure investment and do it jointly with the government. What the government did is to guarantee, what we did is we guaranteed through lease form of agreement, we guarantee leasing that conference facility and ensure that we can be able to provide a lease value on an annual basis for that conference facility to ensure that we have access to the loan. And we JV the property, after we pay for the loan, as a joint venture of modalities for managing the facility, brings that value to government after we have paid out the loan in 8 years. So that's what we are doing. And they have built it in record time with no penny on the books of government. No penny. That's completely different from what we did prior to now when we are hosting big conferences. There's no penny on the book of government. The only thing the government assured is that we will be able to provide, and these are innovative ways of structuring investment with private sector that does not put the government in bad footing. That's basically what it is. If you have future flows that they can rely on, will be available to ensure that they can pay off a debt. The debt is not written in your book, the balance sheet of the private sector is on the book, it's in the bank, and they use it, you get access to the loan. So it is the credibility of the government and the credibility of the partner that allow us to have access to that resource, and we're able to do rapidly. Not a penny from our budget. So I just want people to be assured that that's what we must be doing in the government. Same as we are doing in the ports, same as we are doing in the airports, it did not stress the government. So most of the investments that are taking place in the ports, that are done by Bolori and the like, these are public-private partnership structures. So we just have to move very fast in our understanding of how public services or public infrastructures are delivered for government in modern day 21st century. We should move very fast in that space. We are doing it very cautiously. And I see a lot of opportunities. There's a very active debate coming around our mineral sector. And we're all here Sierra Leone is a mining country. We're a mining country. That's the only thing that brings the largest amount of foreign exchange into the state, is mining. The danger is this, and we should correct it as quickly as possible. The government is not participating effectively. The government must participate. That's the only way you are going to be assured of cash flow. If they are in the hands of private sector, you are relying on having 3% royalties, you're not going to change this game. So, they're not going to change it. They're not going to do us. So, we must participate. We must have state commercial participation in mining with boldness. There's no magic that they are doing. So, I don't know what's stopping that, but I'm saying that let us be bold as a nation and step forward and make sure that what this soil is our soil. The soil is our soil, and they are cutting it away, and we are relying on royalties. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. We are so exposed. We are so exposed. We should move on so quickly. We are wasting time. We are wasting time. We are wasting time. We should move on so quickly. We are not going to be giving grants and handouts anymore abroad. So I just want that to be the case, and yes. So with that said, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I move that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2026 being an act to make revisions and supplementary provisions for the services of Sierra Leone for the year 2026 be read the second time.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2026 be read the second time. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2026 being an act to make revisions and supplementary provision for the services of Sierra Leone for the year 2026 has been read the second time.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I now move that the bill be read the third time.
Sorry. Yes, proceed. Proceed.
I now move that the bill be read the third time and passed into law.
Honourable members, the question is that the bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2026 be read the third time and passed into law. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The bill entitled the Supplementary Appropriation Act 2026 being an act to make revisions and supplementary provision for the services of Sierra Leone for the year 2026 has been read the third time and passed into law.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. You may leave.